The plantation industry is often associated with the felling of pristine forests to make way for industry, or with issues of land grabbing, where villagers are removed from their land with little or no compensation.
E todo empreendimento, no início, ele traz os benefícios e também os malefícios, a gente compreende isso.
Emir Boravac and Petter Brunnberg from Nordea's Responsible Investment Group have traveled to Brazil to visit one of the large-scale operations run by Stora Enso, a Finnish pulp and paper company.
Stora Enso being a Nordic company, we know them fairly well on a group level, and we know the policy framework that they have, but it's also very important for us to come out here and see with our own eyes how they actually implement that policy in practice on the ground here in Brazil.
Emir and Petter have arrived in Porto Seguro in the Bahia region. Emir Boravac and Petter Brunnberg have come here to meet with representatives from Stora Enso to gain a better understanding of how they conduct their business responsibly in an area like this. This area of Brazil is also known for the Atlantic forest, with its high species diversity and the many animals and plants that are unique to this type of forest.
This is a liana called monkey's ladder, and this is also endangered.
It is in this area that Stora Enso runs a plantation with eucalyptus trees on 90,000 hectares of land. If the property were a perfect square, you could drive 30 kilometers on one side and then turn right and drive 30 kilometers on the other side. With the eucalyptus plantation on your right-hand side, as far as the eye can see. Stora Enso runs the plantation as a cooperation between Brazilian Fibria and Finnish Stora Enso. And here they call it Veracel.
Os galhos, a ponteira e a casca não são retirados do talhão porque eles têm uma importante função de ciclagem de nutrientes, tá? E conservação do solo.
Noel Morin is Executive Vice President for Sustainability at Stora Enso. He acknowledges that mistakes have been made.
And we're learning, and we've learned from some mistakes, but we're starting to build our own internal capacity, and we're starting to partner with expert organisations, NGOs, the ILO for example, to really understand what global best practice looks like in emerging markets. And we're starting to implement that, and I hope we're going to start to see some improvements as a result of it.
He considers the social factor to be vital when moving into emerging economies.
The main challenge is linked to our expansion into emerging markets. So the role of our social agenda becomes much more important. We have a pretty good reputation in terms of environmental license to operate, but social license to operate becomes a much more critical factor when we move into emerging economies, because it's less well developed and therefore we have to take much greater account of it.
In order to understand how Stora Enso addresses the social license to operate, Emir and Petter set out to meet with the landless movement.
Yeah, today we are on our way to meet representatives of the landless movement, which is sort of a political force here in this region.
E conflito nessa região sempre houve, mas a partir da década de 90, 91 aproximadamente, quando iniciou o plantio de eucalipto, esses conflitos se intensificaram um pouco mais, porque quem tem a maior concentração de terras são as empresas produtoras de eucalipto. Aqui na nossa região, no caso a Veracel.
The landless movement are rural workers without land who are fighting for land reform and social inclusion. They claim land back by occupation.
Os movimentos sociais, por conta da maior concentração de terras das grandes empresas.
The company had to address this issue when Veracel land was occupied by the movement. They reached an agreement providing the landless with 16,000 hectares of land to live on.
Nós cessamos as ocupações, paramos de ocupar áreas da empresa Veracel e assim hoje a relação é boa. E a visão que eu tenho é que nós saímos de uma zona de conflito, né, para uma zona de conforto.
Thank you very much. Main takeaway from this, I think, is that even though they absolutely don't see eye to eye on everything, especially not on the historical past and the reason leading up to this situation, I think it's clear that there is a dialogue, and that is promising, I think.
The magnitude of the movement in Brazil has resulted in more than 370,000 families being settled on more than 7.5 million hectares of land. Emir and Petter are travelling on to the Veracel Station Private Reserve of Natural Heritage. In 2001, Veracel created the centre, consisting of more than 6,000 hectares of preserved native forest.
Once you decide our land is a private reserve, it will be a private reserve forever.
It serves as a habitat for a number of endemic animal and plant species. It is recognized today by major environmental organizations in Brazil and has been named a World Heritage Site by UNESCO.
This is palm of hearts, and we eat the green part, and this is endangered, very endangered, and people keep cutting it to eat.
The Natural Heritage Centre is only one leg in Veracel's environmental strategy. They also conduct a one-to-one strategy, where 1 hectare of plantation is balanced by 1 hectare of natural forest. This means that Veracel holds 90,000 hectares of plantation and 90,000 hectares of preserved natural forest. To further understand the social engagement, Emir and Petter meet with the indigenous people to ask their views on the cooperation with Stora Enso.
É a única empresa que tem feito investimentos, nessa parte de desenvolvimento humano, apoio, até muitas vezes substituição nas políticas públicas de Estado, E são muito escassas nas comunidades indígenas, a empresa tem feito seu papel social.
Na qual, com a Veracel, apesar de ter suas plantações sobre solo que é de terra indígena, mas voltado, de acordo, assim que for reconhecido, ela abre mão, passando a posse da terra para o indígena. Então, isso...
It's quite interesting to see how the company has created a good dialogue with the indigenous people, and I think most of all that they have sort of set up a good trust between each other.
To Noel Morin, there is no doubt. The focus on environmental, social and governance issues is good business.
I think it's clear what the downside is. If you mess up on the environment, or if you mess up in terms of social responsibility, then a lot of bad things can happen to your business. The upside is that it stops your management being diverted from running the business. When you have a good environmental record and you've got a good social record as well, you can get on and run the business and know that the societies around your business and the environment around your business is in good shape.
In addition to their cooperation with the landless movement and the indigenous people, Stora Enso is also involved in the villages in the area, establishing various projects and purchasing land for the farmers.
Até lá naquelas árvores também faz parte do projeto e se estende para cima. São 28 hectares.
Land that was once pasture is now providing food for the local population through a financially sustainable project.
Então hoje este projeto, o projeto Roça do Povo, consegue andar sem o investimento direto de capital da empresa para a associação. Não existia trabalho. Não existia a possibilidade daquela orientação de você falar assim, eu tenho a possibilidade de trabalhar e ganhar dinheiro. Com o projeto, hoje tem. Hoje não, desde 2008 tem.
Emir Boravac feels positive about engaging with Stora Enso's operations in Porto Seguro.
So I feel quite optimistic about Veracel's operations going forward in this area, even even though the company in the future might want to expand, I would feel quite comfortable on that the company has learned quite a lot during the years it has been operating in the region. So I'm quite optimistic about Veracel's operations going forward.